restart the recording.
She just did.
We're gonna begin the financial committee, the finance committee. We had really 2 extra meetings last month. Those are in your packet. We approved those minutes already. And I'm gonna turn it over to Dr. Keating.
Yes, so we had 2 major pieces come out of our postal meetings. One for our financials, specifically budget plan and a compensation plan. And we have related resolutions that we look at.
So do you want to look at financials?
No, I mean, unless we get specifically anything here, I think
Okay, so you just go straight to,
budget, yeah.
yeah. Let's do compensation plan first, since we need that.
Say one thing about the financials, if I can.
Okay.
Ridership is in the black by a little bit, and that's really good. And that your total expenses are really below budget.
Yep.
You know, there's no revision, but I mean, the revision is what it is. But I think we're doing good in that way. And ridership is up. Your paratransit numbers are amazing
Set a new record.
as a result of that SOS deal. And we can go into the compensation plan.
Yeah, if I could just echo that. Yeah, I got a hold of Robert Pulowski. He's good with not getting back in here. So he must be doing something else. The ridership is looking pretty good. I will tell you all that I think our ridership numbers are actually a little light, based on our APCs, the APCs that are in place. So we've got some work to do here into this month and into the first part of next month to verify that the APCs are working correctly. But once they do, I think that will become our method for counting riders. And you know, I didn't really get a chance to look at the numbers, but I think the best news out of those numbers is that we're doing a little better on the entertainment shuttles than what we thought. So that's good news.
Is that a new system or is that the?
That's system we put in to handle NTD requirements, National Transit Database, to be able to calculate
Right.
average trip length so we can get passenger miles.
Right. That's what the scanners?
Yeah, the scanners. And so if we can show that those are working properly, then we know that we can use them for both the NTD stuff as well as regular ridership, which I think is a good thing.
That feed into Fairbox recovery and.
Well,
No, we're gonna talk
Yeah.
about that.
yeah, I mean, the farebox recovery is what it is, and if we're gonna put more people on that, our farebox recovery is worse than what we thought it was.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, it's always good to have better numbers. The other thing we're gonna be able to use those things for are on-time performance. So I'll finally get back to giving you all some on-time performance numbers in the fixed route system. And so we'll see how that goes. So compensation plan, any questions about any of that? I've knocked this down to 5 slides. I think there's a couple that I'm gonna take out for when we do present this to the county council. And I'll make arrangements to get in front of Georgetown County Council too on this, since you know, technically part of the RTA legislation that we're supposed to introduce this to them on an annual basis.
Yeah.
And so this is really illustrating sort of how we're grouping, sorry, I had to write a note for PM report. And so you got managers in the yellow boxes with the blue borders. You've got what I term functional leads. Those are folks that may or may not have people working for them, but do technical work. And you've got a couple of deputy managers in that group as well. And then waged typically waged folks are in the blue boxes. I guess the exception to that would be the road supervision. Those are intended to be salary, but their salaries are such that we still pay them overtime on, a fairly regular basis. This is an old slide. You've seen this a number of times, and I was illustrating sort of some of the issues related to CPI on some of these wage rates. But now that I think about it, I think part of the issue is why we're not matching up to the CPI rate is that I'm using average hourly rate. And we've had some turnover over the last few years in those departments. So you naturally got a lower average because you've got some folks that are closer to entry level in those positions. That being said, our external comparisons show that we are behind the times, especially for mechanics, road supervisors, and drivers. I don't have a lot of data for paratransit drivers or people that we would call maintenance support, which includes hostlers and there's a couple of guys over there that aren't full-blown mechanics that, are doing odd jobs and oil changes and stuff like that. But we are comparing our rates to what the counties do, Oregon and Georgetown County Schools, the Grand Strand Solid Waste Authority, and in some cases, the South Carolina Transit. So I chose to pare down or average out those external options, just because I don't feel like it's on us to release their wage rates. And, I would hopefully get the same professional courtesy from them, if they were using ours to look at their wage rates. In general, we're good on some and we're low on others. We're not high on anything. And so we're going to do our best to kind of move things forward. I've given you two different numbers to look at. The first column is our baseline, that's based on average wage rates in those different categories. And then the third column is entry level in those columns, and trying to compare those to average external employers. I don't think we have a one-to-one relationship on any of these positions. I think we are a different animal compared to those other, except for the South Carolina Transits. I mean, we have some pretty good one-to-one relationships on that. But a CDL driver at the Solid Waste Authority is definitely driving a different type of piece of equipment. They may or may not have a hazardous materials designation on their license. And I will, they drove the numbers up a little bit. Same with mechanics. They're working on heavy machinery. A diesel engine is a diesel engine, I would say. They got some CNG over there. I don't know if they have any battery electric necessarily. But I think that, it's a cautious comparison is my point.
Tell me again, where did you use South Carolina transit numbers in these averages?
Mostly at the higher end of this chart. There aren't too many transit CFOs anywhere but at other transit systems, stuff like that. And I definitely thought it was important to look at what they're paying drivers. I know the county has a little bit of a difference of opinion, but I would say huge portion of our incoming drivers are coming from out of the region. And so they would have a choice of whether or not they're moving to the Low Country or to Greenville and we are competing against them.
I guess I didn't fully understand. Other than department heads who use transit numbers, South Carolina, drivers, mechanics, you did or did not use?
The South Carolina Transits are in the averaged out numbers for external.
Why?
And they're bringing the numbers down, to be honest with you. I mean, and that's
Bringing the averages down, yeah.
right.
So why no numbers for, I get function lead maybe, but why not for like paratransit and maintenance support as far as? external cars?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't gotten them yet. I might be able to go, grab them. I think like the South Carolina Transit, I got one from, I think it was Greenville, and they're paying less than we are. A lot less actually, and I don't necessarily agree with that. I mean, I think that, you know, I think external people who are looking from outside the agency, you know, think of a CDL driver as being way more qualified than a non-CDL driver. I don't necessarily buy that because paratransit's hard. And you've got, you know, have to have much higher, understanding of passenger assistance techniques. They're going, you know, the ADA regs require us to go to the threshold to threshold. And so it's not easy work. It's just a matter of what size vehicle they're driving. So that being said, I think we should put in some entry level bumps in wage rate for a CDL. Just don't know that it's at the same level as what other systems are doing.
Well, if the county wanted to see this, and they did, they required it in the funding agreement. I mean, they don't want to see it just to have a look. I mean, I'm sure they're going to compare it, but I think we're very in the ballpark.
I think so too. I think, you know, we've got some work to do on road supervisors and mechanics. Those were the furthest behind. Again, I don't know what the mechanics and the road supervisors are doing at some of these other agencies necessarily. But I will tell you that probably more than any other position, road supervisors put up with the most crap from all directions. And so I think that you know, I'm okay with trying to, you know, to kind of pump it up.
So let me ask you a question. You're talking about grabbing a number and, you know, getting information and stuff, but the county is requiring us to bring this to them
Yes.
September the 1st, and we're going to vote on a resolution of what you are telling us you're going to give them.
Right.
So this is completed now. I mean,
Yeah. This is as good as I'm going to get it.
there's no more grabbing information or.
I mean, I think one other thing I would say, especially about the functional leads, is that they do sort of fall between a road supervisor and the, you know, the deputy department manager. So I think we've kind of nestled them in there between the two. And, you know, they're salaried individuals, and they usually have a technical expertise. So I think, you know, and you'll see in the next slide, I have ranges for each of these. In fact, I guess I can just pull that up. Oh, I'll come back to this.
So taking this in the budget together, we're supposed to give that to them 30 days in advance. So that would be August 31st or September 1st and something like that.
Right.
So you plan to deliver this to
I
them?
think what I'll do is we have a planned quarterly meeting with them on the 4th next week, and I'll deliver it then. But I think one thing that this process has, you know, sort of an ancillary benefit of this is that we'll add these ranges to the job descriptions.
Mhm.
And which is what a lot of other agencies do. And you'll see the widest range is that functional lead category, because you've got, you know, sort of different levels within that, and they do decidedly different things. And they all have their own, what's the word I'm looking for? It's been really hard to find a procurement manager. So you've got, you know, some are easier to find than others, I guess, is the point. So I think that there'll be some modest adjustments to the ranges based on the actual position that it's going on, because we have a job description for each one of those positions,
The functional lead will fall into that.
that wide range.
Right.
Yeah. So, and so, yeah, this is the 3-year projection. So this shows average, wage rate by department by year. You know, some of these departments have a lot more people involved in them. But, you know, I think, probably the most expensive change, for lack of a better way of putting it, will be those driver categories, because that's the most people and the most hours. But we are looking at raising entry level up $1. So right now I think it's 1730. No, 1830, and it's going up to 1930, I think.
Plus, we hope to extend service or reinstate some service and extend it beyond that in 3 years.
Yeah, okay, so no, it's in the $17 range. It's going to 1875 for CDL drivers and 1850 for paratransit drivers. And then everybody will get that bump moving up, and then we'll have some merit increases as well. And, you know, with incoming drivers, there's gonna be no issue with keeping the average where we're at.
That's all full-time drivers speaking.
There's some part-times in there, but mostly full-time, mostly full-time. And so something else I might get some questions on is the whole exempt, non-exempt piece of this. I think that, I can explain why we do vacation and sick for road supervisors, because they are kind of intended to be salaried individuals. I'm not sure why our customer service is in that. I think part of that is we've got a few people in that are doing reservations and scheduling and stuff like that, that were sort of borderline supervisors, and we just made them all consistent. But this is about, wrote the numbers down. I'm trying to remember what I wrote down. This is like 25 people on vacation sick and 79 people on PTO. Roughly.
You ask why you don't go straight PTO, how you respond. You heard a lawyer even made her comment. about
Yeah.
Why we do this.
I guess, this is so evolutionary. I mean, this is just how we've evolved over years. It'd be a heavy lift, and I don't know how much it would cost to make it go change, because you're gonna have to grandfather everybody who's on PTO. I mean, who's on vacation sick.
The price would be paying vacation time.
Yeah, so it would,
So it's been using every year anyway.
well, I think the bigger issue is sick time. You'd want to preserve that for them. They don't take that with them when they leave, but I don't know.
This is very unusual to have a combination. I've never,
Well,
More
they've
than
been
17
doing
years.
it here long before I got here. And so I just haven't, it's out there, it's just not gotten to it. And I don't, you guys want to force my hand on that, we can, but,
I'm just curious how you're gonna answer it if the county asks you, why do you do this?
so that was a pretty crappy answer.
Yeah.
Let me work on my answer.
We've always done it that way, is all I'm hearing.
Yeah, well, and you're right, I don't like doing that in other aspects.
Well, the expense is really the reason.
I think I would need to narrow down what the expense is, but.
Bite the bullet once, but we know how much the expense is, then you say, well,
But we did that once for some people.
on a trip.
Yeah, boy.
Took a while.
I just, well,
I will come up with a better answer.
okay. They may not even ask, I don't know.
I don't know either, but
I think the financial end of it is the answer. That's the answer, really. I mean,
yeah, I guess I don't know, what the actual financial, I mean, I would lower morale for a while, I would think.
I don't know if you would or not.
So.
They look at it.
hey, all right.
They've been,
Hi, Lily Jean. Sorry about that.
When I switched previous life, different industries, medical field, morale went up and went straight PTO. The people who are honest, hard workers, side by side with the person who abused the system, they called in sick when they weren't sick at all, and the other, yeah, must be dumb. I'm the only damn one that takes vacation. It goes to
Yeah.
school with my kid, whereas Susie sits right next to me. She lies through her teeth. And if they do it onesie, you can always demand 6 slip, but that's not, you don't want to
And
get.
that really is the difference, is that if you're using sick time, you're supposed to
Well,
verify it,
well,
provide documentation that you
can,
did.
you know.
And we've never done that.
Routinely, you don't, and that never.
Yeah.
I understand, I'm not, other than Bernie said, other than the cost, we don't know how much it would cost. But,
I have a related question.
Okay,
Whenever I've done done work with, people that do payment. One of the things to look at is, turnover rate. And, in previous life, I could look at, oh, if we change personal time off policies or something like that, but we'd look over the next 3 months to see if that changed the turnover rate. So if it was a good change, you'd go down, if it was a bad change, maybe you'd go up. But that's a key indicator in my mind, is that turnover rate.
Yeah, which is why you have this first column. You can see that our functional leads and our managers have stuck with us. So our worst turnovers and obviously drivers. Makes some sense, but yeah, no, let me look into what it would cost and kind of how we would roll that out, and we'll see what we're doing. Any other questions on, compensation plan?
Now, are you gonna talk a little bit about the financial impact on the budget?
I will put that into the budget discussion, but do you want to hear that before you make a decision on the compensation plan?
Why don't we take the votes together?
You would take the votes together?
Yeah.
Okay. So moving on to budget.
You have a motion on the compensation plan?
We do them at the end. We do them both at the end. So you guys can see kind of what this means from a early impact on the budget. We are proposing basically a $1.15 million increase in labor expense in FY '26. I will tell you that about 250,000 of that is in our planned increases in wages, which are more based on CPI than anything else. CPI and merit, and then comp plan adjustments added another 250. So it's about 500,000 of that is wage adjustments. There are about 15,000 additional revenue hours in the budget. That are mostly found in small vehicle transportation. I think the biggest bulk of that would be in microtransit and putting things like that. And it's actually a little bit high because we're really only proposing that those changes occur next summer. So we're only talking about a 3 or 4 month portion of the year being related to that. It does include putting 60-minute service back on 7 and 15 South. It includes putting 60-minute service on Route 17. And those are the bulk of the changes in fixed route that are incurred this. There are a couple of additional staff members. The budget in FY '25 incorporated a procurement specialist, which has been vacant for a while now. But we are talking about adding another staffer, whether that's a entry-level planner. I haven't had any conversations with staff on what's the best fit there. It adds a road supervisor. I think, I think we need that. We need to make sure that we have 2 people at the transit center in Myrtle Beach whenever it's open. But I think, as you'll hear in the GM report, we probably have some things that we need to be paying more attention in Georgetown. So sending somebody down there on a daily basis to make sure things are moving smoothly down there. And then a second deputy transportation manager, let Jay focus on safety, insurance, and things like that, and then having another person kind of really bearing down on operations, training. I'm sorry, Jay would be training, safety, insurance. And this other person would be making sure supervisors are on time and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing and really focused on the operations side of the house. And any questions on that? Maintenance is in pretty good shape. We're not really talking about adding any body to maintenance yet. I do think that we've got some what we're calling maintenance support. We may need at the sooner than later is a new category for call it apprentice or technician or something in between maintenance support and mechanics, as, we've got some guys out there that are learning the ropes and getting certifications and those types of things. We might want to create a new category for them.
Well, budget that we have now, what we're calling draft, and it is a draft until we agree to it. It's very similar to the original draft we got.
Yes.
And the differences are mostly in compensation.
Right.
So I think, we agreed to that one, or we seemed like we did 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and this one hasn't changed. I do have only one question, though. This page called RIDE for Integration of Revenues.
Well, we're going to get to it.
Okay, all right, we'll get to it. I have a question.
I mean, that's in this
What it's for.
presentation too. That was mostly for the county, because I think they're going to be interested in that, but I will go through that in just a second. So boiling it down, I don't know that this slide's going to be necessary for the admin committee. But this kind of boils it down into our three categories, admin, operating, and maintenance. You can see the difference. You can see a, fairly large increase in operating, which is, labor expenses, but also a number of other things. Our lease for the other Conway facility is going to move into operating expense because we won't have capital money to pay for that. That runs out in December. So that's about a $240,000 increase in operating expenses. Insurance is through the roof. Our liability insurance went up 33%, which is a huge number. Obviously, the insurance reserve fund is taking up half on claims. I mean, they're just trying to break even for the most part. I'm not sure if that means there'll be any sort of bailout from the state legislature at some point, but for now, that was that's about a $45,000 increase in our insurance costs for the year. And there's some room to grow for the van pool. I think by virtue of taking delivery of 4 new buses in the March, April timeframe, that our fleet miles per gallon is going to go up considerably as a result of that. You're taking some buses that get 7.5 to 8 miles per gallon and replacing buses that are less than 4 miles per gallon. So that I'm hopeful that increased efficiency will offset the increase in miles or come close to it. And that prices will remain fairly stable. So we'll see how that goes.
So for that 1.3 million, where's the chunk of that? Is that?
So and that's just operations. So there's a chunk of that are comp plan related and increase in wage rates. There's 15,000 more service hours in there roughly. There's an increase in insurance in there. I mean, that's where the bulk of the increases are in that particular number.
So when you explain, I heard maybe about 300,000. So about $1 million, you would say, is coming from the labor side, or is it?
No, I think it's closer to 500 to 600,000 is labor.
Well,
Wage rate changes.
Right. Okay.
And then there's probably another 500,000 that is service related changes.
and the service related changes are going to be the reinstatement of
More hours. Right.
following the O&M reserve, reaching 8% or something like that.
Right. And a point that I wanted to make to the admin committee is that if you look at our admin ratio, that's basically taking our admin expenses and dividing it by operating and maintenance. So it's taking this number and dividing it by the sum of these two numbers here. Goes down. Obviously, our operating expenses are going up, so that's part of the reason. But the point I want to make to them is that we are super lean at the admin level. And I think there are some things that are falling through the cracks that we need to shore up. So I need more bodies in admin as we move forward. Proposing 1 in 26, but I would imagine there will be others after that. So that's just the point I want to make. And those numbers from the industry standard are way low. Way lower.
We're low on that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you think about it, as a large urban, which we are, based on the population of our service area, we have the same requirements as MARTA does, you know, or,
Reporting.
yeah, reporting wise, and we do it with 6 people. And, you know, it's not all getting done. Some of it's getting done in arrears and that type of thing, and we just we gotta shore that up a little bit. But we need to find the right people.
So are you actively looking for a procurement person?
I am. I got one out of Pennsylvania that's got some potential. We'll see. I gotta talk to her. But yeah, if anybody knows anybody, I'll talk to your person and comment.
You know, I didn't put it in, yeah, she's a column, she's also in a procurement, our
Group.
group. She said something, right, people don't want to come down here because they perceive Myrtle Beach too expensive to live. Now, people moving here from Connecticut, New York, and think it's cheaper here, but in South Carolina, at least according to her, we have the image, it costs too much to live in
Yeah.
Horry County.
Yeah, I don't know why that is, because I don't know that that's true.
Where
But
was she coming from?
she lives in Columbia.
Go down the south end and it's cheaper than.
Yeah, but
Oh,
I-
in Columbia.
Yeah, but I think that we might be a little higher than Columbia. You know, because you think about, you know, restaurants here, you're paying sort of tourist rates, things like that. But yeah, we'd have to do some research on that.
Did you talk, Mr.
What
Woodward?
happened to the young man that you had lined up?
He took a different job.
Oh,
Or did you talk?
We
We both
offered
talked,
him
Miss-
that's the problem?
I mean, I think we didn't offer him what he was making before, but
I think she's talking about the guy who was sitting over here, Landon.
no, that's intern. That's in accounting. We're talking about our procurement manager candidate.
He had someone, he told you something.
Oh, yeah.
He's been here.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah, let's just leave it at that. So, maintenance assumptions, the budget does, include, you know, some buses coming in. So that should help our maintenance costs. You'll have 4 buses that'll be on warranty for at least a year or so. And then also 2 refurbs. So we are still going through the process of redoing the engines, replacing the engines in the New Flyer fleet. And we're gonna able to save on parts by taking the nabbies, the old dark buses out of circulation, which they basically already are.
There's no equity in them at all.
Oh, no, they're toast.
Will this be on the screen later?
I don't think I'll be putting that on the screen.
Your van pool, I recall a previous slide from one of the finance meetings, it's 84,000 in here. I thought I saw 100,000 once upon a time. So this is less than that, which is not bad.
Is that, so you're seeing 84 down the
Yeah,
left side?
yeah. But anyway,
Check that.
It
might be.
well, I'm glad it went.
That's a $16,000 difference.
Yeah, and it went down, which
We
was,
probably won't spend it, so
okay.
okay with either budget.
Hopefully you won't get any questions.
Hopefully we spend it.
Hopefully you won't get any questions that many either.
So, just, looking at this from, cost versus revenue side of the house, we've seen this slide before. It has been adjusted. I switched to looking at the old budget, the revised FY 25 budget instead of our estimate to complete. I think it's a little bit simpler and ready for external consumption. You know, it's from a revenue side, it's got some interesting things in here. It is starting the process of weaning ourselves off of using our allocation of federal dollars too soon. Remember in the old days, we used this year's allocation next year. Right now, we're using about half of this year's allocation this year. And so we're going to try to get away from that. I also want to reduce the overall amount, especially on the urban side, so that we can kind of pool those resources and use more capital out of 5307. We're losing road use fees. Obviously, we've got a pretty healthy increase in Horry County revenues. We're losing the cities. That's the 413,000 that we're losing. I think that we've definitely got to get with Georgetown County. I know that there's going to be a concern at Horry County that Georgetown County is not pulling its weight. And I'm prepared to answer those questions if I'm sure Mr. Loftus will ask me. But there are some opportunities for them to do that. Obviously, we haven't picked on them for their FY 26 budget. But we will be going after some funds for FY 27, and the administrator is aware of that. And I think that we've got some work to do on a transit center down in Georgetown, which we'll talk about in the GM report. Any questions about this page? I mean, the budget, this was a nice budget to do because we have the money to do it, for the most part. That's always nice. It has not been our MO in years past. And so, but from a capital perspective, this hasn't really changed. I changed my color coding a little bit. The line items in yellow are a grant that has been executed. That's, they just sent that to me last week while I was at task. So it is ready to go and we can start drawing on it. But it's for architecture and engineering for the building. It continues Kimley Horn's role, and it's got some buses in it. The buses go in line late January, like the last week of January, into production. Should be done by that same week in February and delivered last week of February, early March. It'll take us a little bit of time. They'll come painted nicely, which is good. But they'll take us some time to get equipment on it. And so they should be in service by April 1st.
But we need like mount cameras and the.
Yeah, some of that happens at the manufacturer, but some doesn't. So yeah, there's things, putting our cradle points in them, those types of things, getting the validators installed and all that stuff.
How about the little driver enclosures? They're part of the bus
That's
now.
part of the bus at this point. That's from the manufacturer.
Yeah.
The reason why I'm bringing all that up though, is to let you know that we are on the hook to give New Flyer progress payments. So we will be paying for 75% of the bus as they go into production. And then the 25% is on delivery and acceptance. And that is sort of something that's happening nationally, just to keep the manufacturers afloat. The pink is our 5310 grant. Thank you, Candace. We should be getting a contract from them any day to order 4 new transits and another cutaway. Something for GM report. And so that may become 2 cutaways and 3 transits. They're not too far off from a price perspective. But we have those dollars on the 5310 grant. We've also got some money in an old 5339 that we'll have to spend to clear that budget out. But we should have those in place sometime this fall, a shorter time frame on those. Then the green are the capital budget items that are in our operating grant, which is still in process. I know they're looking at it. I had a conversation with the NEPA coordinator, the environmental coordinator. But it is operating, it's preventive maintenance. There's small capital items. There's the technology grant, which we're kind of waiting for that to be executed before we release the RFP. And then there's a facility development program where we can do some planning for the Georgetown Transit Center, whatever that's going to look like. And I would say the percentages from last time we talked on this grant getting executed before trams goes dark is closer to 33 to 40%. It was at 25% earlier, but I think they're trying to push it through for me. Trams goes dark on September 26th. So it will depend on Department of Labor review and some other things, but we have a fighter's chance to get that rolling, which helps us on the cash front more than anything else. Any questions about capital? All right, Bernie, I'm hopefully gonna answer your question about this. I put this in here for the county's edification. I wanted them to see what we're doing with the Ride For funds, at least early on in the process. So this is strictly where Ride For monies are going into our system. And it's just for the next couple of years. I think it'll change over time. But basically, we're replacing between, around $2.5 million worth of road use fees right off the bat. Those that were in our system that are no longer coming in anymore.
I understand it now. I wasn't really thinking of what, showing them, this thing showing them what we were spending. I thought it was more like showing them why we're only gonna have 1.1 at the end of
Right.
their 7.2 or something.
Right. Well, I mean, that's basically what it's showing.
Yeah, no, I get it, I get
But
it.
there's a lot in here,
Yeah,
including the O&M reserve,
Yeah.
including, we had a pretty healthy service cut in the works if Ride 4 hadn't have happened. We've got to cover that. That wasn't in the budget until we revised it. We want to try to lower our appetite for $5,307.
Yeah,
We're adding some service in Horry County.
the thing that surprised me or made me wonder was that shortfall on current level. I said, why do they care about that? They're giving us $7 million. Why are we complaining about that? But I see what you did.
Right. Okay, so maybe, if you all have any ideas on explaining this, but I feel like this was important to show them. Some other things that I want to say in front of this is that we do need to look at other funding sources, including Georgetown County. And that, after the FY 26 year, that we will provide them with an annual report that will include kind of what we've used Georgetown County money for versus Horry County money for. The nice thing is that the urbanized area is only in Horry County.
Helpful.
That's very, very helpful because that could get pretty messy, although we are siphoning off a little bit for North Carolina. Those dollars come back, in over time. And that's gonna help us tremendously sort of isolate,
Right.
and all of those funding, all of those service increases that we outlined before are in Horry County. And so, we wouldn't want to increase service in Georgetown County until we got a little bit more from Georgetown.
And the replacement of the city contribution, was that a temporary thing or was that a part of?
That was a part of it. I mean, those cities are contributing to the sales tax. That's what, and it was really them that kind of got us to the table in the first place. So I think there might be some heartache on the county council's part about that. But that's how I was like, look, I mean, they're contributing to the sales tax. And this was the deal. So, yeah, no, I don't think that precludes either city from helping us on capital stuff. Obviously, Myrtle Beach is big time in that, but I think at some point we're gonna need to look at a transit center in North Myrtle Beach. We would look to the city to help us for that, help us with stuff.
Really, they had a complaint on the registration tax too, because they were paying that. And we asked them for more money and they gave it to us.
Well, yeah, and we incorporated that in our discussions, like about, I think it was like 225,000 comes from the city of Myrtle Beach. But they are a much bigger player on sales tax than they are on road use fees.
Yeah.
So, and they were adamant, like they weren't, when I heard them say in a Ride 4 committee, they weren't gonna agree to this unless transit was included. So.
Well, they need a transit authority in Myrtle Beach.
And both cities paid out of their FY 26 budgets to help us sort of bridge this cash gap that we have. So we got 150,000 out of North Myrtle Beach and 200,000 out of Myrtle Beach.
But that's a 1 year, one-time thing.
And those full payments were made in July. So actually, Myrtle Beach did 2 payments, 100 in July and 100 yesterday. So part in August. So yeah, I mean, I think some other considerations here are the possibility of a temporary facility. I'll make that point in front of this slide as well. And there are going to be some changes in the federal funding landscape. What those are going to look like, I don't have a clue. But we've got one more year of the bipartisan infrastructure law And it has to be reauthorized after that. So we'll see how that goes. Any questions?
I got a couple of quick questions. One is on the O and M reserve. Do we have a policy about what that can be spent on or protocol? Or just,
And you're asking me all these policy questions. We should.
I think we do. I went to the ADA training the other day, a lot about policy.
Yeah. I think we do talk about what it can be used in the O&M reserve. There's an O&M reserve policy, like what our target number is. So let me go back and pull that for you.
Didn't we use a lot of our O and M policy in about 2020 for trolleys or 2021?
No, we were able to convince the county to use ARPA funds for those, for the trolleys. No, I mean, I think that, it's got the percentage, I'm trying to look at the policy. It's got the percentage on what we're targeting. And then does have, I think, a sentence in there about what we use. It's in the event of government shutdown,
I mean, it was good to have a policy then,
and we'll, it's probably time to look at it. So, make sure it has all of that in it.
I got a second question.
We're on the hook for 8%, which that's a bigger number now.
Right.
That goes up to 16% over time.
8% is not tied to a time. It's
It's tied to once the
tied to new service.
before new service. That's right.
That's an unusual, I don't know why they did that, but I mean, we're gonna do it anyway. We need to do it and it's a good idea for us.
And so we get a good portion of it done with FY25 revenues. And then we're finishing it up in FY26 to get to, it's well over 8%. So it's between the 8% and the 16%, based on kind of what we're at right now.
My second question, I got three. This is the second of three. What can we do about fare box recovery? Do we have are we moving toward a new program, a fare increase or we have a fare study?
Yeah, we have a fair study. We know what the target should be. They suggest going back to the $1.50 to start and then going to $2 over time. I don't agree with what the impact on ridership would be in that study, but it's based on empirical data, so it's fine, I guess. The problem is the technology to collecting that $1.50. So that's what we've got to fix before we
So
can.
that's the technology RFP that we're struggling to get out on the street.
Right.
Okay. And my third thing is, can you give me a quick explanation of preventative maintenance? Where is that funded from? And is it a separate section?
So preventive maintenance is basically all of the expenses that come out of the maintenance department. So maintenance labor, parts, external repairs, we send it out, are all eligible under federal programs at 80% match. So that they're basically considered capital expenditures, even the labor, which is odd. And so we shape our monthly draw based on operating expenses, preventive maintenance, and we get an overhead rate, we get an indirect cost rate based on the labor expenses in those two categories.
So is there any maintenance that's not preventative maintenance?
Accident repair.
Okay, that's what I was confused about. What's preventative maintenance and what's maintenance?
Yeah, any kind of oil changes, parts, new engines, tires are operating expense. Tires and fuel are consumables, and those are operating expenses. So those go into operating.
So if
We only get 50% on the
if a
dollar.
lift breaks and goes in the shop and we repair it, we didn't prevent it from breaking, but it's still preventative maintenance.
Right, and you're replacing brakes on an ongoing basis so that,
That's preventative.
yeah, it's preventative maintenance.
Preventive.
I think there's a word preventative, but we use preventive. So,
Preventative, okay.
yeah, so, and we're overmatching all of that, but you can get a higher rate of federal participation for maintenance over operating.
Yeah.
They want, the way the federal transit regs and laws are set up is they want to help you with the capital side and you run it, you operate it, both, mostly from a financial perspective. And most of the big systems like MARTA, they'll take their entire 5307 allocation and put it at 5307, put it
That's
into
what we need to do.
preventive maintenance, and we need to get closer to that.
And what do you mean when you say we're overmatching?
Well, expenses up to 80% of, we get to a point in the year where we've spent down our allocation and we still have preventive maintenance.
So and we're spending our own money.
That's coming out of local. And it gets split between urban and rural. So for every dollar spent in preventive maintenance, we get about, while the grants are in force, we get about 70 cents from urban, we get 30 cents from rural.
10 cents. I mean.
No, it's almost it's like a 2/3 urban and 1/3 rural expense.
So we're paid 100% for preventative maintenance. 70 and 30 would be 100.
For every, so,
We spend $1.
all right, let's do my example better than that. For every dollar of expense, we're gonna pay no less than 20 cents, right? And so then we're getting about, what would that be, like 62 cents from the feds and
18
whatever
cents.
the difference is from the world.
Okay, I got it.
Sorry.
Any other questions on either budget or the compensation plan affected by the budget or anything in there?
Ready for a
Ready for the resolution for compensation?
resolution? Okay, so Waccamaw Regional Transportation Authority Resolution number August 2025-15, approval of the FY 26-28 compensation plan. So yeah, I don't know if I made that clear, that this compensation plan is good for 3 years. A motion of the Board of Directors for the Waccamaw Regional Transportation Authority to approve the FY 26 through 28 compensation plan.
I move that we accept the resolution for the compensation plan.
Second,
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of accepting the compensation plan, please say aye.
aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And we'll take the motion now for the budget.
Waccamaw Regional Transportation Authority Resolution number August 2025-16, approval of the FY 26 budget. Motion of the Board of Directors for the Waccamaw Regional Transportation Authority to approve the FY 26 budget.
I just want to add here before we take a motion in a second. In Brian's background here, he did a fabulous background job. And I'm really, it's really what I admire most about Brian is transparency, or not most, but I admire transparency. And this is a very upfront resolution here. If you haven't read it, I would suggest you do. But do I have a motion to approve the FY 26 FY 26 budget?
Make a motion that we approve the FY 26 budget.
I second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing, seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Very good.
So, Mr. Chair, you may want to ask Mr. Method if it's okay for you to sign for him.
Mr. Method, is it okay for me to sign the 2 resolutions for you?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Okay.
Except I'm left-handed. You have to sign it left-handed. I'm kidding.
Okay. Ad hoc committees. We have, in the bylaw of ad hoc committee, we don't have it on the agenda or anything, but I'd like to take a look at that, absent, proxy kind of thing. And now I'm going to, hand it over to, Daryl Ikoff for the compensation committee.
All right, you don't need me to vote on, because I have to leave now.
I think we're done voting. I think we're done voting. We're done voting.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Be careful.
Elijah's
Find my way.
on CEO's annual evaluation. Basically, we're using the same form we've used in the past. I think 2 minor word changes. Elijah is going to help us and go electronic with it. For your work, Elijah, the word change I'm making does not alter what you need to do to fill us the instruction sheet to how we all we're gonna use that. One
Right.
thing
No,
that- Did you find the one that Pamela sent you from HR maybe 3 weeks ago?
Let me get into that right now. I have 36 emails. Boom.
As you're looking at, one thing we're trying to do, compensation committee, we're trying to minimize the response, I don't know. Why don't people know certain things? One area was on, does everybody have a job description? Now Pam showed me every job offer, when they sign employees, sign, a job description is attached. So 100% of our employees have a job description. Well, I'll include that in my statement on the 20th of September. I'll send out the new evaluation if Elijah's done. The other
Yes, I
area.
do have that form too, by the way.
Okay, yeah, there'll be some minor word changes, but building the template, the 34, none of that changes in there.
Okay.
Like, the CEO respond appropriately to EEO and sexual harassment type complaint. I know what Brian tells us here. Some people, well, I don't know if he reports everything or not. I would like, Bernie approves, have Pamela present a once-a-year report, the number of complaints. We don't get that many, first of all. And sexual harassment, EEO, and the date we got it and how it was resolved. Just once-a-year report, if you don't mind.
I agree with that. Does anybody else have, I don't think we need to vote on it, but, anybody else has an opinion on that? Speak up.
I talked to Pam, she has no trouble doing this. She said there's not that many. She can just create each year on 30th September, she just give a report. I'm not interested in knowing names of people involved in that, but I don't think that's important at all.
Put that in February 19th. This, the delegate one, Cam put together for us. And this is the name, time, who answered, who didn't answer, how long it took for them to answer.
Those are complaints of rioters.
Right.
Yeah,
Ours were internal, is what I'm speaking of.
you're talking about, sexual harassment or other harassments. I'm not sure what.
Fortunately, there's not that many. So
Sure.
the people who in the past have been, I don't know what Brian does. Now, I know what he tells us in his room, but I don't know, was there 5 other ones he didn't tell us about? I don't think that's the case, because Brian's always so open to everything, but,
I'm sorry, Erica will come to this house.
Right.
okay.
But there could be another CEO at some point.
Yeah, down the road. I would- 6 years from now.
Brian, the old man, and big gray.
Anyway, if you don't mind, yes, Pamela knows, she said some good, just a once year report. If you don't mind.
Okay.
The one area where some people who don't come, when Kitty left, but they're in, how is morale in the building? Well, I talk to people, I know there's not a problem. They said, well, you and Bernie come over here a lot, so we have a chance to talk to everybody. I don't know how else to do that. I encourage, before I leave today, I'll go out there and talk to customer service people. That when we see in the room, we have Marty and Candace there, but I don't know what else to do about that.
Well, the only thing and we talked about this is to
Measure
do,
the turnover.
is to do
Climate assessment,
well, yeah, is to do a survey.
do that once a year.
Sure. You want to?
You do 2 things you can ask Pam. Yeah. I think I'd be, the people who are, I think it's a good idea.
The turnover rate is a proxy for.
Yeah.
Well, but you see the drivers, the new drivers, it's over 2 and 3 years, because,
Yeah, driver turnover rate would be Doug's fault.
yeah. The customer service, has been 12 years.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, I think the turnover rate for drivers, I have no problem with that too. I mean, we gotta try to figure that out. We just gotta set some reasonable targets because there are external forces that contribute to that we don't really have a control over. But, you know, so it would require, I mean, we'd need to do exit interviews. And keep some stats on why people are leaving. And I think we have some, but it's not complete and we're not focused on it, which we probably should be.
Elijah, I took your phone over this week. You said you'd build this spreadsheet and the Coast emails. Several of us in this room don't like using the Coast email for what it's worth. So I'm not sure if it's a workaround that or we mail out one way, and I'll talk to you later how we do that.
I wish we could work around it, but I mean, I don't know what you think about this, Elijah, but maybe we just use the teams and you just post it.
Yeah, we can do that. We can do that.
Fewer.
It will, to make sure everybody just does one response. I believe it will ask for your Coast sign in, so may not necessarily need the email, but you will need your sign in. And if I may speak at least from a former law enforcement experience, if for some reason we would be sued or had some legal thing where discovery came into play and you're using your personal email, all the correspondence in your email, not just Coast ones, could end up in a litigation from discovery. So just keep that in mind in the back of your head. Was one reason, like when I was in highway patrol, we couldn't use our personal phones for correspondence or evidence collection, because if something in court did happen and discovery came around, they could pull your phone. So just something to think about.
Yeah, what do we do?
Well,
I got 5 emails there from you on my personal.
I've been using both.
Yeah.
But I was talking to Be More yesterday, the IT folks, and I was like, it's been on me to try to use the power of Teams better. And so I think part of that is taking the board report, the board packet, and just posting it in Teams. And you would get a notification it's there, and you get a link.
And then you have to find it, then you
You have
would.
to find it.
And you would find it.
And you could find it on your pad.
It'll save it.
I mean, I think that's kind of where we're heading, and then we're not using email at all. I could just post
Right.
notes, and those types of things that you would see.
Just let us know.
That's kind of where we need to, but we gotta do training, something to help you guys navigate, because if it sits for 30 days, which is kind of what we're talking about, you're gonna have to get back in there, log in, make sure you've got the authentication correctly, because it's a 2-step login, and it's not as intuitive as it. I don't know. I don't think it can be any more intuitive than it already is, which sucks because it's hard to use sometimes.
Every board member will have to just get over that aggravation of learning it and getting files up in it.
On my trip, I only took my iPad with me, and there were some limitations, there. And so, I got through it, mostly like trying to get the grant through trams, stuff like that was some limitations, but
You got kids you can have.
I do have kids I can ask, although I don't know, but yeah. So anyway, it's 12:20, so we got a couple of other things to get through.
Okay, we have,
Thank you for doing that though, Elijah. Appreciate it.
the GM
Yeah,
report.
no worries.
All right, so GM report is 3 items. The task Transit Association of South Carolina met last week. We had several board members participate. The meeting, I don't think the meeting was quite as well attended as we've had in the past, although the vendor turnout was terrific. Talked to a lot of people about our technology project, talked a little bit about the architectural and engineering, although we couldn't say too much because it was out on the street. I think the biggest conversation there that I want to keep you all apprised of is the conversation with SCDOT. They are moving at a pace that's slower than what people are expecting, I would say. I think it's less of an issue for Coast RTA because we have Ride 4, so the cash implications are not as severe as they have been in the past. We did get a contract, or we got an amount for our rural contract that's basically half of what we got last year. And it's intended to just get us started while they're trying to work through state formula and figuring out what we should be getting under that contract. They were quite, I won't say transparent because I don't know that they're being that's fully transparent. But what I will say is that they are a mess and they admitted to being a mess. And I think the biggest thing that I got out of that conversation with them is that they are planning to hire consultant help to help them dig out from some of the financial issues that they've had. They went through an FMO. Most of you in here know what an FMO is because Coast RTA went through one. They did not go well. It did not go well. And so our biggest beef with them at this point, thank you, Bernie. The biggest beef with them at this point is that they've got to figure out a way to keep the money flowing while they're trying to figure stuff out. And that's probably been our biggest problem. And so, hopefully it's a work in progress. I've got I'm still on the board, but I'm no longer chair of policy, which I'm happy to give up just because I got a lot going on here. But I am doing two things related to task. One is I'm serving on a smaller group of us that will be meeting with SCDOT on a regular basis, probably quarterly, to kind of get better information about how they're moving through this process of shoring up their grant programs. And then I was also duly elected, I guess, for my, I won't call them negotiation skills, but there's a group of smaller systems. They're rural. They're mostly on the west side of the state, like down the Savannah River, Bamberg, Barnwell, McCormick, those counties over there that have been raising issues with legislators, SCDOT commissioners, and kind of basically going over Justin's head. We all know.
Not a good idea.
And so I'm going to convene that group and listen to what their concerns are, some of which we all share. And SCDOT has asked us to come with one voice as task to try to do it. So I'll be working through that with them. Any questions about task? Any thoughts or observations you made while you were there?
I thought Jay gave an excellent presentation.
Thank you for saying that.
It really was.
He gets good reviews. He gets really good reviews. I've already had 2 requests to have him go to Low Country and to PDRTA, and we'll certainly work with them to just pay his expenses and we'll send him out there. But you're right, he does a very good job with that. So.
And who was the board member of the year?
Board member of the year.
Yeah, our chair, beloved chair, was named the Transit Association of South Carolina's board member of the year.
Good for him.
Guys, you guys, we should like giving them the plaque again. I'm sure the plaque is up on your wall though, right? Somewhere at home.
It's not on my wall quite yet.
But
Lauren-
well deserved, well deserved.
Lauren is a wonderful write-up.
Yeah, thank you both. Thank you all, really.
So that was cool. We also awarded the Ride 4 committee as Making the Difference Award, and yours truly screwed that up because she was talking, say, she wanted to get Rob to the meeting. She meant Rob Wilfong. I thought she meant Rob Edgar, and which is our staff. So we've got some, hopefully admin committee going to give him the award there. So I gotta talk to him, and
I think it's the 23rd.
It was kind of hilarious, actually.
it was so
One
funny.
and a half
It
years,
was,
right?
yeah.
And
Literally down to the wire.
she kept saying, "Where's Rob?" And I was like, "He's sitting right next to you. What are you talking about?" And like, that's when we discovered what the
I
problem.
think it literally was when they started reading the write-up on, as they were giving the award, I was turning and he was mouthing to me and I couldn't understand what he was saying because it was,
Yeah. So anyway, we figured that out. So then, 2 other items, met with the city of Georgetown yesterday. They are not happy with the goings on at our stop on Lynch Street, which is kind of on the side of the building where the Family Dollar used to be and next to the Piggly Wiggly. They've had, the police chief is pretty adamant about moving our stop. they actually sent me a letter basically saying cease or desist with the ordinance that we're violating. And part of me is like, well, wait a minute, the city put those shelters there for us. And so we went down there Monday and had a conversation with the city administrator and the chief of police, and it didn't really go that well. But I will tell you that we went over there after the meeting, and there were 12 people at the stop, two of whom are waiting for the 11 o'clock arrival of Route 16. The other 10 were not there for transit. And so we're going to look at some options for moving it, but I'm going to hopefully encourage them to keep it where it's at and maybe do a better on our part to send supervisors down there to make sure that we're kind of keeping it clear, because it's clearly become a very comfortable place to loiter. And we just gotta try to get away from that. I really feel like moving the stop's just gonna move the problem, that we need some more enforcement. It's very similar to what goes on in Myrtle Beach. And so that's just out there. I will let you know how that continues, but we're gonna give the city some options and make some suggested changes in our procedures so that maybe we can hopefully keep it there, but if not, move it. The best option for moving it is to send a bus down 521 towards Andrews and stop at the city.
Electric.
There's a city,
Electric department.
yes, the electric department, and Public Works is there too. Which is,
Do you know whether you had any complete some fee relief?
I think that there have been, he gave us a list of calls there, that were from January of 24. They had like 250 calls in 20 months. 40 of, well, I don't know, 40 of which were just for information. And so it was about 10 per month. He wanted to blame us for bringing people down from Myrtle Beach to sit there. And I assured him that that's not the case. We don't really think there's a lot of people doing that. And certainly our one day of going over there supported our case that it's not transit riders causing the problem. So, but yeah, I mean, it was not a great meeting. They're pretty upset, so we got to figure out what we can do to help them. And one thing I mentioned is that we're ready to start the planning for creating a new transit center, because if we want to add a route down there at some point, we won't have room on Lynch Street to do that. So that was out there. And then the last thing I just want to let you know about is that we did have a pretty healthy accident. Doug left the room the other day that we had a driver who was in the parking lot at one of the Dunkin' Donuts, and they touched a car. I think they did a whole lot of damage. Then they hit the awning and basically sardine canned our vehicle. The vehicle is a relatively older cutaway. But I'm not sure of course we have TV here, so we might hear something about it, but they happen. The van is probably totaled. But it's not worth that much, which is why it's going to get totaled more than anything else. So just let you know about that.
No one was hurt.
No one was hurt. The driver is not going to be with us anymore because it was a safety violation.
That was on paratransit.
It was a paratransit vehicle, yeah. So just to let you know. And they happen, and we've done, I'm not gonna say that, never mind, because I jinxed it. Because I told somebody at Task, have a few accidents we had in July, and it backfired on me, so. So that's it for the general manager report.
Thank you. Any old business? How about any new business? Okay, anything for the good of the order? And this is the first thing I think we've ever had for the good of the order, but I have two things for the good of the order. One is that, say to board members, if you have not ridden our system at all or in a long time, I would urge you to get on the bus. I think you'll be very impressed about how well we're doing out there and how satisfied our customers are. And I mean, our frequency is rough, you know, we have an hour frequency, but our reliability is good. Our drivers are courteous, and we have a good system out there for what we do. And the other thing I like to say is that, I was here on Friday for an ADA training, and, I was very impressed with our staff. I don't know if they were all drivers or dispatchers. I don't know who these.
A little bit of each.
Yeah, I was very impressed with them. They spoke well, they had good questions, they had good answers. They responded well to questions by the presenter of what we're doing and how often we're doing and this and that. And it was very impressive, and I appreciate that.
We had staff from PD, RTA,
Yeah,
Santee Water.
they're good too. They're good.
Instructors they got from California, is that task?
Yeah, he's called the ADA guru, but yeah, he's pretty good. at what he
And one
does.
more thing I'm just thinking about, I'm gonna ask Brian to relay this message to one of our drivers, who I tell this driver often how great she is. But I'm hoping you will tell Anne Marie Wingo. She is the only driver that consistently calls stops. It's an ADA requirement. We don't have good enunciation on the buses. We don't have good driver participation in doing it. But she's out there by herself doing it. Yeah.
Good to hear. I'll let her know.
Anything else for the good of the order? Announcements. The announcements. Take a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn?
Second. Motion that meeting's adjourned.
To everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Elijah. Thank you, all board members and finance staff and board here. Thank you.
You don't do that long, did you?
Yeah.
It's okay. I think you do it first thing.
Thank you.